So the Antarians, they are like the warriors. They're fifth-dimensional, so they're not warriors because I want to get something and kill people and take stuff. No, they are warriors for the light. They are like the protectors. Sometimes the protectors have to be really strong and be like an army person, because that's part of the protecting, depending on what that is. The Antarians are like the military on the Earth. The Arcturians are like the generals, and the Antarians are like the military, and the Venusians are the art and the beauty and working towards those types of, love and life and things like that. Pleiadians are like the army, and they are the ones that, but these are higher dimensional beings. They have no need for conquest because they have conquered all of their third and fourth dimensional problems, issues, fears, greed, anger. They have conquered those, and therefore they have been able to return back to the fifth dimension. And Gaia called for help because the humans were not being too good on her, to say the least. And so Gaia called for help, and then those being the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, Antarians, the Venusians, they had different parts of the whole, and they worked together as a one. So that was very powerful because the Earth is many, many, many different kinds of people, and their challenge is to be able to work together as one. As we are the members of planet Earth, instead of, well, I'm from this country, so I'm better than that country, and your country sucks, and I'm going to take over your country. That's all very third dimensional thinking. And so as people move into their fourth dimensional state of consciousness, they still have the curiosity. They're still a little bit polarized, the good guys and the bad guys and that type of thing, but they don't have a need to take over. They have a need to understand and to learn more, so they can be better warriors for the light. And see, that's where the warriors were always meant to be warriors for the light, but after the fall of Atlantis, that got lost. So do you want to speak to that now, Danny, for a while? Because I know we both, talked about that a lot.
I love what you said about how the Earth herself is multidimensional. There's a lot of different facets, and so the groups work in unison and go where they need to go in order to help to heal that bigger picture. And what you said about Atlantis, about being able to be a warrior for the light, and how that got forgotten because people lost touch with their inner selves. And so with the Antarians, as a case example, they had to understand themselves internally to really take stock of what are we doing in our external environment. Something I find interesting that I would actually love to ask you, Sue, about the Antarians is that they work a lot with, they have a lot to do with the military, it seems like here. And something that people started to pick up on, and this ties back into Atlantis too, is the nuclear sites, the different nuclear sites, and how many UFO sightings there have been there, and how some of those UFOs, when they would appear, they would actually shut off the nukes, and then they would go. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that to me is very much like an Antarian, like, okay, we're watching.
They're warriors for the light. Whereas some of the other Galactics might say, oh, those humans, what are they doing to the Earth? The Antarians say, look, no, this is not okay. This is not okay with us. And, if we have to shut down this and shut down that and make them lose these important papers or lose those important papers, that's what we'll do. because we are here to protect Gaia. So being like the warrior people, a warrior is actually a protector. You know, a good warrior. A good warrior takes on battle to assist and to help and to fight for the light. But on Earth, it isn't always that way. There's warriors that aren't like that. And so when they first came to Earth, they realized that there were warriors that did not come from the light, that came from the dark. And so that kind of battle, the light against the dark against the light, has been a ongoing theme through all of the eras. Would you like to speak to that some more? Because I know you were around for a lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I have memories of being on Atlantis, actually, and having that light warrior mentality and being able to observe how the technology at that time was harming the Earth. It was harming not just the people, but also the environment itself. And that would also escalate to affecting the rest of the universe outside of the planet. And just like you said, we can go through every single century or timeline on Earth, and we can find the same story of the light versus the dark. And that polarity really does make up a big chunk of this whole entire reality. You know, we live in a polarized environment, but something that I love about the Antarians being warriors for the light is that they really only care about balance. They care that the Earth is allowed to be able to expand into these higher frequencies without interference. And it really feels like that's what they're helping to protect us from, the interference.
Yes, because Gaia, the being Gaia that we call planet Earth, is a living being. And she's kind of had it with the third dimension. I mean, it's been a long time. And look at what's been going on in the third dimension. It's not her favorite dimension. And she's kind of at this place now where Gaia, being the planet being, she's at this place now that, look, if you are not able to work for me, then I'm going to ask you to leave my planet. Because it is time now for planetary ascension. And I cannot license or go with any kind of working against that, working against the transmutation of this beautiful planet into this space that is beyond that polarity, where the good and the bad and the fights and the wars and all of that is of a lower frequency. And what is occurring with this whole galaxy, with Gaia's galaxy, is that this whole area is beginning to move into this other frequency of space. And as it moves into this other, which is actually a higher frequency of space, then those who cannot adapt to that higher frequency of space, they will not be able to enter there. They will need to go back to source, and it's like go back to kindergarten and start over again, because they didn't quite get it. They had X amount of lives and X amount of opportunities, and they fell into the darkness and they couldn't go beyond it. They got stuck. And it's not like they're bad or good, because bad and good is a very third dimensional type of thing. But it's for the light or not for the light. And so right now we can see these planetary things going on, like this virus that's all over the planet. We're on the cusp. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It really is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And the darkest night is just before dawn. And so humanity has to go through their darkest night. It is a change that could be scary, and change is always scary because we're going into the unknown. Venus, the Venusians, and Gaia, the Earthlings, are sisters. They're sister planets, and they really love each other. One of the things that really calms the beings of Earth is art. Dancing art, singing art, seeing art, exercising art, yoga art. There's so many different art forms. And Venus is the mother of art forms. Venus says art is your highest expression of self. And don't ever say, oh, my art isn't good enough. Your art is your expression of yourself. And I have tons of art all over because I love to do art. And it's all kind of weird. It's not like I would say, okay, I'm going to go to, some place and, no, it's my art. It's a way that I like to express. And everyone is creative. So people say, oh, I'm not creative at all. That's just because they're judging it. I do the art because I love to do it. I love to see what comes up. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it kind of just reveals itself. And that's what life is. It kind of just reveals itself. Now, the first thing about Venus is that it's reversed. The sky is a kind of a greenish tone, and the grass is a bluish tone. And the water kind of flickers. And sometimes it, in the ocean, you'll see it, if it's a certain kind of day, and you'll get these little flickers around when the waves. And Venus is light and love. It is a dedication to light and love. And that awareness that loving others expands the light, and expanding one's inner light, it makes it easier for them to love and for others to love them. And so expanding the light is what you give away, but you don't give it away because you want it back, but you do get it back because we always get it back. Energy out is energy back. It always is. Now on Venus, as you begin there, you walk on this grass, and the grass, everything is alive. So you walk on the grass, and it's kind of like, I'm sorry, but I need to get up the hill, and there's no, what do I do here? And the grass just kind of like, it's okay, no problem, we're fine. The little grasses are talking to you. Now that's weird, right? But it is weird. Because things are so reversed on Venus. And then you get to go up the hill, and then there's this huge building. And when you get to the building, there's like 7 stairs. So you go up each stair, and you know that you 1 foot and you hold, then 1 foot and then you hold, because you know this is something very important. This is something kind of like sacred. And then when you get to the top of the stairway, opens, the big double doorway opens, and you're invited in this most loving invitation. And then they first take you over to the side, and there's a room that you go in, and you just lay down on this table, and there's flowers all over the place and soft music, and it's like, this is heaven. No, it's just Venus, but Venus is like heaven. And so then you just totally relax, That's the release room. You release all of that. And then you go back out into the big room, and it's a huge room, and there's a big stairway, that goes up and then across the top and then goes down, circular stairway or whatever you call it. So you go up, and then there's doors, and so you open the door, and when you open the door, you are called to go in, and you meet like a mentor, and then that mentor sits with you, and it's kind of like a therapy session, so to speak, and you kind of like can't say what it says because it's unique for each person. And then you go out through the other door, and then you see that there is a huge, big, round thing, and there's this violet flame, but it's not a hot flame, it's a loving flame. It's a flame of love. And then you go, there's like a thing you hold on to, and you can look down into the flame, but you kind of can only do it for a while because you want to jump in, because it's so loving. It's so, violet is the highest frequency of light, and so it has this high frequency, and you're right there with this high frequency of light basking your body. So then you walk around there, and then there's a debrief door, and so everybody, somebody guides them to their debrief. They open the door, and they meet with the debriefer, because it's an extreme experience, and you need to ground yourself again because it just takes you way above. And so then you sit with your guardian. They call themselves a guardian. Then you converse, and then you find whatever it is that you came to find. And then when you are done, then you wake up and you're done. And if you're in your bed or on the grass or wherever you fell asleep, but you don't remember falling asleep because you didn't really fall asleep, and it doesn't really feel like a dream, it feels like a real experience, but of course you were just asleep because that's impossible. That couldn't really happen. And so they hook it up that way so that people can go back to their 3D life and not go crazy over there. What was that? Oh, that was just a really good dream. Wasn't that a wonderful dream? See, the grounding of it is like, I have the ability to ground that amount of love and light? Wow, that's a responsibility. I have that ability. Nah, I couldn't possibly have that ability. Yeah, but it sounds really cool. What if I did? So we had to fight with ourselves, all the you're not good enough. And isn't it great? All the I'm not good enough march before you. And you say, yes, I love you. I send you love and light. To all of the God, I'm not good enough. All the I'm not good enough get, I love you exactly the way you are. Blessings be and blessings be. And when we can love ourselves for exactly the way we are, that's when we could really expand.
It's almost like when we do carry those higher frequencies, it's like it's a seed. Like we have like a little packet of seeds, and it's not our job to hold on to those seeds forever. They won't grow. You got to ground them into the earth so that way they can blossom, and then the seeds can come out from those plants and go everywhere. So
yeah,
it's like sharing the love, sharing the love, sharing the love.
Yeah, sharing the light, sharing the love, planting the seeds of love and light. Because we do plant light. Light is hope and happiness and meeting yourself, knowing who you are, and meeting the Galactics, because the Galactics do communicate with us. And it's not about whether or not they communicate with us, it's about whether or not we remember that they communicate with us. When you plant a seed in the ground, it disappears, but eventually it comes out. And so when that light gets planted in us, it has to go deep into our core. And then gradually it'll begin to bloom.